There you go.
Right. Well, hello everybody. It's lovely to be here. My name is Denise Headley, and I am the Deputy CEO of the CSRF. If you're new here, it's so wonderful to have you here. This is our online groups that we run every month, where we try to create a lovely space for people from our community, which invariably are retired civil servants. But as we are now doing a lot of work online, we are speaking to retired individuals and other individuals all around the globe. So as far as I'm concerned, this is an international exercise. So today, oh, I forgot to say, that's David is the other individual who works at the CSRF. He is the boss number one, and he looks after everything. Hence, he is here, making sure that everything runs smoothly. So thank you very much to him. And can I just welcome everybody today to our online group. We are very honoured today to have from Solar, Jane Finity and Ashley Jordan from One Stop Organisers. Now, for those people who are not familiar with Solar, Solar is an organisation that has later life advisors, and they are committed to promoting and raising awareness amongst people and their families and professional advisors of financial issues that are faced in later life. But in addition to that, they also have affiliated groups. And those affiliated groups, such as One Stop Organisers, are supporters of Solar in terms of their ambitions, and they are the individuals who are here today to give us part of the presentation. So I'm going to hand over to Jane, and she's going to introduce Ashley Jordan and all of the other little bits as well. We're going to be dropping some little links into the chat so you can go and press the link, see the activities and things that we're doing, and also find out more about the speakers and the organizations they represent. So thank you everyone for joining. It's wonderful to see you. And now I'm going to hand you over to the capable hands of Jane from Society of Later Life Advisors and Ashley.
Thanks, Denise. Yeah. So it's lovely to be here. We were here last month. I recognise some of you, and we did a bit on downsizing. We had Susan come along, Susan Gregory, and that went down very well. And so we don't just do the financial side. We work with other organisations. Oh, I think somebody's not muted. Let's have a little. There you go. I think that's it. Yeah. We work with other organisations.
Could everybody put themselves on audio mute while the speakers are going on?
Now. Yeah.
Just say thank you very much. And then obviously when we have time for questions, obviously you can come off mute, ask your question, and we can do it that way.
Brilliant.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, so we work with other organisations such as yourselves, your affiliates. And today I've brought my colleague Ashley, who runs a fantastic organisation. And the reason I've invited Ashley is I want her to tell you a little bit about the difference it makes if you claim some of the benefits that you could be entitled to. So I'm just going to spend 5 minutes running through what some of those things are. You may have heard of them. People get very confused by the different names, even though they sound quite similar. Carers allowance, attendance allowance, got allowance in the title twice. And again, we'll have a little think about why people possibly don't claim these. But what I'm hoping Ashley will do when she comes on and tells you a bit about some of the support she gives people, why it's important to get this extra money if you can. So I'll just share my screen. So I'm not going to do a sort of a boring benefits sort of. We've got plenty of people that do know about benefits in any great depth. These are just the ones that you can claim. Even if you've got a good income, they're called the non-means tested benefits. So I'm Jane Finity, and I've been with Solar since it started up a very, very long time ago, 23 years ago. And let's have a look. So the sort of benefits that we're talking about today are the ones that you can claim because you're entitled to them due to certain medical conditions sometimes, but it doesn't have to be as severe as you think. So they're not affected by your income or your investment income. So actually a millionaire could claim and would be entitled to some of these benefits. So the idea is that these benefits are paid to you because it protects you against getting really sick, ending up in hospital because you slipped in the shower, or needing to move into a care setting. Now, some people, care settings are very nice these days. They want to do that, but the majority of people would like to stay at home And these benefits are put in place by the government to make sure that you can get some extra help and support as and when you need it. So these are the main ones. So we've got the state benefit, state pension, and that's based on your national insurance record. And of course, everybody is eligible to a state pension that's paid enough national insurance. Attendance allowance is the big one that I'm going to sort of look at today. And that's for people that reached state pension age and older. And that's to help with all sorts of things. And I'll go into a bit more depth about that. Carers allowance, which again causes lots of confusion. And so that's for people that are under state pension age. And again, a lot of people give up their work to look after a relative. They might be entitled to carers allowance, and they can also be then entitled to a national insurance payment towards their state pension. I think winter fuel payment became very famous a couple of years ago when the government thought, oh, I know, that'll be a good idea. It was not a great idea to say that they wouldn't be giving that to everybody. It was probably going to cost them more to means test that than to give it to everybody. So they reversed their thoughts on that. And there's another one, cold weather payment. Some of you might get this automatically already and have had this when the temperature really drops in winter. I keep thinking we could do with a cool one as well, the cool weather payment, because of all the extra fans and things that we need, but I doubt if they'll be introducing that anytime soon. So attendance allowance, they reckon about 3/4 of people that could claim this don't. There could be all sorts of reasons why that is. I've got a few theories of my own, but it's quite a lot of money. The lower rate is over £75, it's almost £77, and the higher rate is £114.60, nearly £115 a week. That's tax-free, comes from DWP and is paid with your pension. A lot of people have heard about it. They do get a bit nervous about claiming it or think that they won't be eligible. But it also interacts with other things like a reduction in council tax. Again, that's something that if you live by yourself is worth claiming. Carers allowance, which I've mentioned again, that's something for somebody supporting you. And sometimes if you're on pension credit, you get a slightly higher pension credit. So some of these benefits, once you claim them, leads to sort of up rates and some of the other benefits that you might already be getting. So why don't people apply? Interestingly, none of these benefits tend to be advertised. Now, that's not a criticism. I mean, welfare benefits is a big issue at the moment, regardless of what your political thoughts are. And I think that a lot of us think, no, I've got a reasonable income, I can manage, I'm all right. And really and truly, I don't want to start. I've never had benefits all of my life, and I don't want to start claiming them now. I think the other thing is the forms look very long, but in reality, they're not really. I mean, Ashley might touch on this. There's lots of organisations that can help, including some of the solar affiliates, and they look incredibly long. But I think also, especially if you think about when you go to the doctors, you're more likely to be very upbeat about how far you can walk, how you feel, how you're recovering from your hip. We tend to be upbeat because that's the way we are. We want to be feeling good and we want to be getting better. But a lot of this paperwork does require you to be very, very honest about what would happen if and how you feel on certain days and what's the worst that you feel. And I just think they're a bit counterintuitive. So again, it's quite a good idea to get help with these. The big one is, though, that people just don't know. They don't know that they might be eligible for these. It's just one of those things, really. Like I say, it's not advertised. You might get some of the better charities like Age UK talking about it, and they're one of the charities that will help you apply for this. But again, we even find that some professionals, solicitors, financial advisors, they don't know about it, and it's a fantastic benefit, over £5,000 a year, tax-free. So again, if somebody's got a particularly good income, you might actually get some professionals that don't understand it either. But again, there's a real misunderstanding about the criteria, because a lot of people say, well, I can get by myself and I don't have a carer, so I can't believe I'd be entitled to it. And I did a talk in April in one of the care homes, and I did mention to somebody whose mum was 108 and she was 78. I said, well, from what you've told me, you might be entitled to attendance allowance. And she was deeply offended, even though I'd said it in a very nice way. I don't think so. I don't. So again, there's this sort of reticence to say, do you know what? I could do with a bit of help around the house, help with gardening, somebody to help me change my massive duvet every week, you know, changing a double duvet, that kind of thing. Yeah, getting taxis, whatever. Again, people don't really understand the criteria. So what would be good is if after this, if people are interested, I can send a link round, Denise, David, to make sure that you know, we've got a fact sheet on this. You might think, well, do you know what? I think I could do with that extra money, and I think it would make the world of difference to me. So I'm not going to witter on about the sort of ins and outs of those, but I'd like to introduce Ashley. I've known Ashley for quite a bit now. How long would you say, Ashley? 3, 4, 5 years? She's
Yeah,
been
something like that.
yeah, I've been an
Yeah.
affiliate with Stella for quite a while, and I know that it does make a big difference if you've got this extra income in retirement, because you're more likely to spend it if you've got it. You're not thinking, oh, what will I have to cut back on? And if you do need some advocacy and some help, there's nothing better than contacting one of our affiliates to give you that help. So I've asked Ashley today if she'd very kindly you can say a little bit about yourself first, Ashley, and just talk about the sort of help that you offer to older people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane. And thank you to David and Denise. Denise, I love it. I feel like you should be a radio DJ. You're like, you've got the right kind of vibe going. Yeah. So you're on mute, but you've missed your
I
calling.
should plug thank you so much. That's very, very, very sweet of you. But I should plug the Not Done Yet podcast that myself and David do. And we do the podcast. And this the last time I think we had is it Debbie Terry? She's the chair of one of these large organizations. So please jump over to our YouTube, and the link's in the bio.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you. As Jane said, I'll just quickly tell you about One Stop Organisers, so you know what we do and why I'm speaking to you today. So I've been running the business for over 20 years, and I suppose about halfway through that is when I started to work mostly with people in later life. And what we do is support people who may have children and may not have children, but need some support with a big project they're doing. Downsizing is a big one. So where Susan talked to you about, you know, the actual estate agent side and the kind of how to, I do all the practical bits behind the scenes, such as what furniture are you going to take and is it going to fit in, and how many dresses have I got, and that wardrobe's very tiny and 5 milk jugs is too many for a 1-bedroom flat, that kind of thing. But we also do ongoing admin for clients who are within certain areas, and that can be digital conundrums, dealing with paperwork, making phone calls, helping with tradespeople, all sorts. So we're kind of the people that you go to if there isn't anyone else who can support you. And oftentimes it's people's adult children that get in touch because they've got children of their own, busy jobs, businesses to run, and they also think they'd like to preserve their relationship with their parents, so they have lovely times with you all and go to, you know, lunch and things rather than arguing about what they said to you last time about the mobile phone. We've all been there, haven't we? So Jane asked me if I would first share a video with you. So this is a video of one of my clients who kindly let me record her. Now, hopefully this is going to work. I did set it for the settings. Maybe Jane, you can put thumbs up if the sound comes on and thumbs down if it doesn't. So here we go.
Just like her so much. I mean, I open the door and there she is, and I think, hello, hello, everything will be all right now. I heard about Ashley from the curate at my church, a woman whom I trusted and liked very much. And she said to me, do you know Ashley? And I said, no, who's Ashley? Well, Ashley is the difference between my being able to move from the big house to the small flat with a minimum of distress. She just made it possible for me. I think without her, I can't imagine what would have happened without her. taxi, but I think even Eleanor would. The whole task seemed absolutely challenging, seemed impossible. I mean, as I said to you, I thought, well, people move house, foolish people do it. Why shouldn't I be able to do it? But I wasn't able to do it. And I was frightened and not really able to face what needed to be done because I was facing it with the knowledge that I did not know how to do it. And an estate agent isn't going to hold your hand and lead you through all the relevant, necessary processes. You need somebody who lives in the modern world, like Ashley. She was marvelous at kind of moving me into the 21st century. It wasn't exactly moving me into the 21st century because I'm not there, but doing for me all the things that needed to be done to get all the relevant services set up and helping me. I mean, she was instrumental in getting me a proper mobile phone and teaching me what to do with it. But Ashley is familiar with the way elderly people are, and she will make it as good as she can for the degree of understanding and the degree of memory that you do have. I knew that she was a godsend, and this impossible task had suddenly become not something I could do, but something that somebody else sensible could do for me. Well, your person, yes. See, she is like my mother, but she behaves as you might expect a mother to behave.
So there we go. You do miss out a bit on the old Zoom with the background music, but you get the gist of the video. And if you want to see it with the music, you can always go onto the website. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you about Anne and anything else that happened that she didn't share in the video because that's up to her. So I'm going to talk about different clients and how I helped them. But you will have noticed that Anne was wearing a pendant. That is, of course, a pendant alarm that you could use your attendance allowance for. And several of my clients have those. And they're not always set up by social services. Often they're set up by yourselves privately. So that's another thing you can use attendance allowance for. So I'm going to talk about a few case studies of clients, how I helped, not so much how I helped them, but how we got to the point that I suggested they had attendance allowance, and what that has done for them. So I met a lady in 2019 and she was recently bereaved. So that's often a time when you take stock of what's happening in your life. Her husband had been a hoarder, and she wanted help decluttering his office, which was big at the top of the house, full of stuff. It really is a privilege for me to go into people's lives and find out about them. And quite early on, I ended up talking to her about her life, her health, and it was much better then than it is now. We're 7 years on. She's actually in hospital at the moment, so it definitely was better then. But I could tell that she probably was eligible for attendance allowance even at that time. And I mentioned it, but as Jane said, sometimes people say, oh, no, why that wouldn't be for me? I've got enough money. And so the point was I'd sowed the seed. So 2 years later, she came back to me, said, you did such a great job on my husband's office. I know you help people downsize. Would you be able to support me with that? And I said, of course I would. So, we spent a lot of time together in the process of the decluttering and going through everything. So I was learning more about her. And again, I mentioned it to her. And she did even speak to somebody at that time who would be able to help get it for her. But she put it back on the back burner. She moved into a rental and she started having falls in her rental. And we needed to put a key box up. That's something, all these things cost money, even if they're just little bits. That's something that you can use it for. It doesn't have to be a regular cost. It can be, something you need one off. And once we got her into her forever home, let's call it, so her new downsizing, amazing flat it is, we were able to put in lots of adaptations for her. So I was able to help her get handrails in her bathroom, lovely, gorgeous ones that look like they're, out of the glossy magazines, not the ones that you see all functional and look like you don't want to go anywhere near them. So I was able to help her feel confident. I hoped that she was going to be able to use the bathroom in her new home, but she didn't feel confident she was going to be able to do that. But by this point, I had managed to get her to get all the evidence to the lady who would fill in the attendance allowance form for her, and we got that off. So by the time we got to the point that she said, despite everything you've done, I won't go in the shower on my own, I said, right, well, we need to get you a carer. And I helped her to engage a carer who now helps her shower twice a week. And will probably be going in more regularly now she comes out of hospital. But she has so often said since that time, that was probably 18 months ago, I'm so glad you helped me get that because I really need it now. And she has one child. And she wants to leave as much money as possible to her child, and she doesn't want to use the money on all the things to help her in her later life. So that's a reason sometimes why people will be happy then to claim, and she's absolutely entitled to it. And she does need a lot of support. She was having trouble getting out to walk round to the supermarket. The number of times that she'd tell me, oh, I had a fall in the house and the ambulance came, but I'd set her up with a pendant. So there was lots of different things that she's now using that money for. It's also often a gateway to getting a blue badge. So sometimes people have a blue badge first, but if you have the attendance allowance, it's a gateway to be able to get that blue badge, which was something that we were trying to do before she had the fall and ended up in hospital. So that'll be something I'm sure we'll be following up with once she's out. Another lady who I helped downsize, bathrooms again. I knew immediately that when she downsized that she wasn't going to be able to use the bathroom in the new property. So it wasn't a case of just making her feel confident. It was that it was going to be impossible. So I helped her to we got the quotes to have the bathroom completely redone so it was accessible, and it was started literally the day after she moved in. So by the end of that week, I think she moved in on a Wednesday, they worked on the Thursday, Friday and the Saturday, and she was then able to use that bathroom. They let her use the toilet the entire time, but she was then able to use the bathroom. And now that's a big one-off cost. She'd actually been having attendance allowance already before I knew her. She was unsteady on her pins, but when I was talking to her, I realised she was probably eligible for the higher rate. So I put her in touch with someone who was able to get that for her. So she got that uplift, which meant she had more money, and she can use that towards something as a one-off cost like the bathroom. But she also has someone in to do her cleaning and her ironing. She gets her food delivered. So all these costs, it just makes her life much easier. But she has lots of local friends who take her out as well. So she doesn't like using it for taxis. We all have our thing that we don't want to spend it on. I'm the same. I don't like spending money on taxis. I'd rather get the bus myself. So I met another man who was over in Pimlico. I'm going to call him an academic just because all the academics I've helped had much in common with him. Basically, lots of papers and stuff like that. He had 4 terminal conditions, and he wasn't expecting to be alive at the point in which I met him. And his mortgage had expired, and he thought he'd be dead. So he'd done absolutely nothing about it because he thought, well, it won't be my problem, I'll be dead. But he was still alive, battling through his 4 terminal conditions, but was absolutely certain he was not going to be eligible for attendance allowance. And I said, well, I'm not the expert, but I know someone who is. And I'm absolutely certain that if you have a conversation with her, you will be eligible for it and she can help you claim for it. He was a bit cantankerous, so it did take a while for her to get all the evidence from him. So although people will fill in the form for you, you do have to help a bit to get the evidence because we can't magic that out of thin air, sadly. But the idea was that this gentleman was going to move across in the same development to a smaller flat where his mortgage would be paid off. But he just had too much stuff. And I don't know where he is because he got a little bit feisty and decided he'd do it all himself. I don't know how. So I don't know what's going on with him, but I do know he did get his attendance allowance. So I hope whoever is helping him has managed to do so, and that money will have gone towards helping him to get across the way into the smaller place. I also wanted to talk to you about a lady also in London, because I'm based in London, and her husband had just had a dementia diagnosis. Now, whatever condition you have to have had it for 6 months before you're eligible to claim attendance allowance. So just having a diagnosis doesn't mean that you're going to automatically get it. But I did put her in touch with somebody to talk about it because that's not a diagnosis that's going away. And it meant that when the time came and she could apply for it for her husband, she did have all her ducks in a row, had all the evidence that was required and could get that done. And for her, that means that she's confident to leave him at home because she has people that are going to come in and be with him, be companionship for him, and she can still go out and live her full life that she really enjoys and wants to do. She is also using me to help her with downsizing. So when I first met her, she said, I don't think it'll be happening yet. And I think we met maybe about 18 months ago, maybe a year to 18 months ago. But actually, that money helps pay for me. And she's so worried about him and everything that actually one of her friends said, I don't know why you can't do this, you're decluttering yourself. But not only is it physically exhausting, even if you are, really full of the joys of spring still, it's emotionally exhausting as well. And if you've got something else like a husband with a dementia diagnosis, then it's just a lot on your shoulders. So having somebody like me to be able to, come in and assist. And I found actually as well, it was just being there to be able to be that ear. When I'm decluttering, it's so much more than a practical, we're going to keep this, we're not going to keep that. It's also enabling us to have a discussion about other things that are going on and sowing the seeds for things that she might need to think about, like speaking to a solar advisor about what's going to happen with the money that comes from the house, how they're going to make sure that's available if he needs to go into a care home. All of those things, they come up and I'm able to help people ensure that they get the right estate agent and all those kind of things because I'm there with them and talking to them anyway. So, as Jane said, the form is very long. It's very, very boring. And you do have to think about what is your worst day like rather than all the positive things that you might otherwise do. So I have had a number of clients who've said to me, but it isn't like that for me. And I've said, but is it like that on your worst day? And they've said, yes, it is. And I've said, so the form is correct then. That is how you have to fill it in. But even if you think, well, I don't want to pay somebody to fill it in for me, or I can do it myself, of course you absolutely can. But what I see is a lot of people say that they get the form and they sit on it for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, by which time they could have paid someone to fill it in for them and have got that money because it will only be backdated to the time that you got the form into the DWP. So if you were to pick up the phone today, call the DWP, get the form, it gets to you tomorrow. Well, it won't, but let's say it did. And you filled it in immediately, then it would be from the day it got to them. But if you put it in a drawer because you look at it and think, oh my goodness, that's way too long, then you're losing your money for that every week that goes by. So it's really important to get it done. And if that means getting someone else to do it, like Jane says, Age UK, social workers often do them as well. Some care agencies will do them, not all of them, because it's quite a big big piece of work, and other Solar affiliates do them. But I would just, if you think you are, my mum's very sad she's not, because she could do with the money. But there's nothing wrong with her, and she's 82, and she sometimes says, I'd rather have something wrong with me. I could have a bit more money, but then she wouldn't be able to go out and enjoy her life so much. So you win some, you lose some, I suppose. So, I mean, that's really all I've got to say. But if anyone wants to ask any questions of me or Jane, then we would be delighted to answer them.
Could I just, can you hear me okay, everybody? Yeah? If you could hear me, could I get a little thumbs up? Or a little reaction on the emojis, or a little wave or something? Oh, yeah, cool. That's so cool. Thank you so much. Can I thank very much Ashley for that? Oh, well, they look great. Who's that? Is that Eugene? Well done. I love it. Yeah, thank you very much to Ashley for that, because I think what she was trying to stress is that the importance of actually claiming those benefits, because a lot of the time, if you look at some of the statistics in relation to unclaimed benefits, especially for the client group that we serve, it's significant. And I think a lot of it is to do with your perception of what you're like and what you're entitled to. So I think this is the reason why people like Jane and Ashley sharing their knowledge and the support that they can offer is absolutely vital. I mean, I don't know if anybody has any questions. Just unmute yourself, okay, guys? We're a nice cozy room. We don't have to stand too much on ceremony.
Observation,
viewpoints.
Yes, can I make one? I helped my mother to apply for it when she was still living at home, and we were successful. And I'd given her these independent age leaflets, which said, which Ashley's saying, you have good days and bad days. Just tell them about the bad days. And when you're filling in the form, that is. She's now in a care home, and she still gets the attendance allowance, which obviously goes towards her fees in the home. But I've just noticed Chris says I've tried applying for attendance allowance but declined because of my savings. Well, my mum had enough money to I mean, attendance allowance is known for not being means tested, so I don't know why they declined his for his savings, because they're irrelevant. My mum would have been declined for savings.
They won't ask about that. So, Chris, it might be you applied for something else, and because some of the names are confusing.
Yes, it could be. Yeah, I may have got the wrong allowance.
You can, as she said, you can be a millionaire and still be entitled to it if you need help with daily living things.
But I think Jane said that she would send out some information about people that could help you apply. So you could have a look at that and then contact someone who can help you. They'll know whether you'll be eligible to get it or not.
Yeah. I think with attendance allowance, you get some, it's not like PIP. PIP is divided into mobility and care components, whereas with attendance allowance, you just need to show that you have a specific need with mobility, with care. And on your worst day, it might be that you have a particularly bad arthritic leg, or you've got, what you can say is, okay, I can manage, but it would be helpful if you had some assistance on that point. And that's the day that you articulate and you talk about all of your elements of your day. And the questions are quite intrusive. The reason I'm saying so, I did 20 years at AGK. I was the manager for the advice and the information service. So we always are encouraging people, apply for attendance allowance, apply for PIP. And another one that a lot of people do not apply for is the disabled facilities grant, which can assist you in home renovations. And a lot of people do not apply for the disabled facilities grant because
I'll put that in. Yeah.
they're
as
not
a link
familiar
as well.
Yeah, please.
I
That's
didn't
also a
even
very
know
good one.
about that. I'm very excited. I'm going to look that one up.
Yeah, you can get the
yeah.
disabled facilities grant for renovations, because essentially, if you have a qualifying benefit, the grant is there to assist you. It is administered by the local authority. You do have to go through the criteria for eligibility, but it is there for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't take advantage of it, because that also can put rails in your house. It can also, if you know the back door's falling off, okay, they need a ramp out the back. Okay, well, let's use the grant for that.
That's another thing I did for my lady, put a ramp out the back so she get in the garden.
Exactly. And then you're living independently for longer because you're in an environment which is conducive to your mental health in a particular way. Not that moving is different, but you know, you want to be independent in later life, and then you make changes when you want to, not because you have to.
So I could get another example. I was just thinking, my mum-in-law was only married to my father-in-law, who died at Christmas. That was his third wife. And she's only 74, and he was 90. And she missed the carers. And that sounds mad, doesn't it? So she had carers coming in she's got no children. She's got us, but we're almost her age. It's another younger wife. And she started to say, oh, I really miss them, because they would come in, make sure that I'd taken my tablets, made sure I'd had something to eat, because she stopped eating. And what's interesting is she can walk further than me. So when we applied, she has severe angina, and she's got a puffer, it comes on, but she got it. And she can walk for miles. She's only 74, quite well off, independent living. And she's using it to, she's got Zoe in the morning who comes in. Zoe's got horses, sometimes takes her up to see the horses, make sure that she's set up for the day. And then Grace comes in most evenings, and she brings her kids from school, the little ones. My mum-in-law's loving it. And she's using her attendance allowance for that. And I don't think without the attendance allowance, she would have done it. But yeah, she was entitled to it. And really her main issue is angina, which most people would think was quite a mild thing, especially with how far she can walk. I'm amazed sometimes. She wears me out. But so I'd hate people to think it's for very, very, very old people needing care. The sort of criteria levels, I think, is very reasonable. And of course, the earlier you can get it, the earlier you can get help. They do a bit of housework, and they change the double duvet. They change her bed as well, which she can't really do anymore. The earlier you get it, the better it's going to be for you going forward. You know, having that support earlier. So it's not a sort of older age type benefits for anybody 66 plus that has that need. Yeah.
Can I also just chip in? Oh, sorry. Good. You speak. Oh no, you go, because I've been yabbering all the time. Go on.
Apologies. I was trying to find what to put my hand up. I couldn't find it. I have a family member who's in his 50s and diagnosed with Parkinson's 10 years ago when he was in his 40s. Still able to work at the moment, but I wondered, in that scenario, is there anything that he can claim? Would you know, or is this purely for people who are retired?
No, he can get personal independence payments.
Okay.
And he should apply for that, because the way the benefit system is set up, they're what's called in-work benefits, and they are for people who are within the working age category, so up till 67 basically, because I think that's retirement age. And then you have out of work benefits, which are for people who are retired, and then you've also got health benefits, and PIP is about his health and the things that he can do. So he can apply for PIP, and I would suggest you do that, and also look at whether or not he can get UC, because UC is also an in-work benefit. So he can get potentially universal credit, but you've got to go through the process of applying. They are means tested. They'll look at his overall income, but he might get certain elements of UC as opposed to the income element. But the point is, you know, every little bit helps.
And they would totally disregard his earnings because they want to keep people well and in work if they can.
Is angina related to the chest?
I don't think he's hugely well remunerated. They still have a younger daughter at home. And I know his wife does work, but she's currently part-time because of the caring elements involved. I just was, you know, a little anxious for them on, as time's going by, how much longer will he remain as well as he currently is, you know?
I'll send a link, Catherine, about carers allowance, because she might have too much income, but what she can get if she's not getting, I don't know how much she earns, she's probably getting a national insurance credit if she works part-time, but if she wasn't, she would get a credit towards her state pension. So as long as you're in the system, it is well set up to look after people. But if you don't know, you don't know. So I'll have a look at that for you.
Well, this is what I'm wondering. I don't think they've thought about that yet, because he's been fortunate enough to stay reasonably well up till now. He gets tired very quickly, of course, and there are other aspects starting to show themselves. But I just thought the more information I could get to them now, the better equipped they might be for whatever support will become required, you know?
I think that's a really good way to think about things, Kath. And what I would also suggest, if you could, is to encourage them to get on it and get everything done before they need it. So that if the circumstances do change, they're already in the slipstream, and all they're doing is making an alteration at that point, as opposed to starting from that point. Because that's one of the things that I found often was the case as an advisor. People come to you when the issue is, clear and present, as opposed to thinking, what preparatory work can I do so that when the clear and present arrives, I've got a bit of breathing space and a bit of buffer space.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you very much for all of that information. It's really helpful.
It's a wonderful thing.
Sorry to continue. One last query. Do any of you come out and do talks to places like the U3As, which are full of people our age and older, many of whom could probably benefit from this information?
Yeah, I mean, I do talks in care, different talks about different subjects, but care homes, funeral directors, church halls.
You know what U3A is, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
You do, yes, okay. Yes, they tend to be once a month in church halls or somewhere large. Where I live, we have two. The biggest one has a membership of over 500, and the church can hold something in the order of 200, 220, and it's full to standing room only every month. The other one is much, much smaller, and the attendees are all, I would say, on average, a decade older. So they're 80s and 90s as opposed to 60s and 70s.
And where are you based, Kath?
I'm in Wallingford, South Oxfordshire.
Okay.
So
I'm in Oxford, so I do quite a lot of Oxfordshire Federation WI talks.
Oh, right, the WI. Well, yes, do come to our WI in Wallingford. We'd love
I've been looking after Goring carers recently, so
okay,
on the road,
Well, I know both U3s probably have their speakers booked for about a year, but it would be so useful to have either of you at any one of them. It really would, if you can approach, or perhaps then put your details in the chat that I could maybe pass on to the organisers.
Yes, please. I mean, I think, Denise, presumably you're sending our details, are you, after?
Yeah, and also what I've done as well, Kath, if you look in the chat already, I've put the link to Solar in the chat, because I've got here, if you go up to attendance allowance, retirement, look, later life financial advice. If you click on that, it goes straight to our website and it takes you straight to them.
Yes, I do have that. Thank you very much. In fact, I used the information at the weekend. I was at a family gathering in Shropshire, and I was speaking to a young lady there who is helping her mother move, and she's all over the bit because she doesn't live in the country much of the year now. So when she is home, she's struggling to fit in everything and to help her mum. So I gave her the SOLA information as well as Age UK, and she said, I hadn't even thought about that. So last month's talk has already been really useful and put into practice. So thank you yet again.
Have I got some other people who want to contribute? Any thoughts, observations, want to just chip into the chat?
No, I think that comment about acting before you're in a dire situation is important, rather than leaving things late.
I think you're right, Chris. And part of the almost like mental motivation, I think, is something that sometimes we don't consider when we are on this side of the conversation, because some things, you just don't feel like doing it, and you don't really want to face it, and it, you just want to put it off. But I think that's also something that we should consider in terms of when these things come up, because it might be that you just don't have the motivation, but somehow you just got to get past that bit and just think, do I need it in a couple of months or maybe a year? And how am I going to be then when I have to ask the question, if you see what I'm saying, Chris?
Yeah.
So I'll send the bits and
Yes,
pieces through
I
that you can
agree.
circulate, Denise. Make sure everybody gets everything, including Ashley's details at one stop, and we'll take it from there. Lovely.
Well,
Thank you for having us.
Is there any more points that you guys want to raise? Or any observations? Well, I just want to say a huge thank you to, I wonder if you can hear my claps on the thing. No, I've got a mixer there, but it's not working. So I was going to give you a clap, but I can't do it. So maybe you just have to do a regular one. And thank you so much for Jane and for Ashley, who have come over today. And I think it really, oh, look at you guys have got claps. Well done, Jackie and Joyce. I love that you got that thing. Sheila, Jean, oh, well done. I love the fact that you've got your hands all over the emojis. That's so cool. Oh, well done. Oh, look, I'm getting, I say, David, with a spray. It looked very much like a fountain of applause. It's wonderful. And it's really, really lovely that we have Jane and we've had Ashley. And I'm really glad that you guys find this whole process, this whole engagement informative. And you're actually taking it out. You're actually like butterflies. That's what happens with the knowledge, because you flap your wings and somebody else in your circle gets that knowledge. And that's really important. And I think that is part of the success. Oh, there's a terrible echo. That's part of the success of this. I'm going to shush now, Dee. I'm getting a bad echo in my ears. I'm going to leave it to you to take over.
All I would say, aside from a huge thank you for all of you for participating, spread the word. If you've got other people who you think might be interested in joining these online social groups on a monthly basis, they are very welcome to come along, very welcome to engage, very welcome to participate. Our next session is the 12th of August, 12:30. We have a guest speaker from within the CSRF community who is talking about the history of the penny. So I will leave you to imagine exactly how that may emanate on the online social group. But we will be continuing to engage with both Jane and all of her fabulous affiliates, and obviously looking at slots coming up in the future that we can fill with. And I was saying to Jane just before the session started, we'll be looking at including editorial in printed version of Fellowship News, some of the content that's been given on the online social group, so more members of our community are obviously aware of the very useful services that are provided. Now, I'm acutely aware that you've got 7 or 8 minutes to get back to your meeting, Ashley. So a personal thank you from me, and also thank you, Jane, as always, for facilitating, and we will keep in touch. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon, whatever you do. I hope you keep cool. Make sure you get those shutters down, keep rehydrated, because I think we've got hot weather for the remainder of the week and some. So just make sure you all look after yourself. And apart from that, it's lovely to see you all, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. So take care all.
See everyone. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, Cass. Bye,
It's been
Joyce.
great.